Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on Friday, the 24th of July. Archer is back in test reckoning. Fiji joining the Six Nations. Parramatta back on top. The Nuggets pull away at the top. And Americans back on the water. Well, nearly. It's all going to come up in the morning sports briefing this morning. Your best way to start the day up to speed with all the important sports news here on New Zealand Sports Radio. And kicking off with that cricket news, yes, Jofra Archer is, after being stood down for the last test, is back in the big squad for the long list for the test match that starts this tonight. Also back are James Anderson and Mark Wood, and there are concerns over Stokes' fitness, where he may not be able to bowl at this next test. So it's 1-1 in the series, and this will be the decider that starts this evening. So all to play for between England and the West Indies. Moving on to the football then. Man United, West Ham held on for that 1-1 draw against Man United, which sees them safe now from relegation. It's going to come down to, with one game left, it's going to come down to Aston Villa and Watford, who are both on 34 points, and also Bournemouth, who are on 31 points. If they get a good win and improve their goal difference, they could climb above Villa and Watford. So, three teams in it at the bottom of the league. That's draw. And also Liverpool beating Chelsea 5-3 mean that Man United, the top table is Liverpool at the top with 96 points. They're safe there. Man City safe in second with 78 points. And then it gets tight. Man United on 63 in third, and Chelsea on the same number of points but in fourth. And then Leicester City on 62 points in fifth. With Wolverhampton in sixth place with 59. Now, Wolverhampton's goal difference means it's very that they're not going to catch Leicester City. The Leicester City will finish in that top five, but it's the top four that get Champions League automatic entry, which is what the target is. Fifth gets you into Europe as well, but not in the I can't remember if it's through qualifying or if it's for the or for the lower competition. So Man United, Chelsea, and Leicester City all going to this last round, finding it out for those important Champions League positions. I'm going to hand you over to Stephen now. He's going to take us through our birthdays.
Yes, thank you, Paul, and good morning, everybody. We're right on the cusp of a weekend, so enjoy your Friday before we roll in onto our Saturday. In birthdays this morning, and outside back compared to Christian Cullen, that was curtailed by injury. A New Zealand Māori and All Black from King Country, and finally a Korean-born New Zealand golfer, and that's where we start our birthdays this morning. Danny Jin Mung Lee, born this day, the 24th of July 1990, is a New Zealand professional golfer. Lee was born in Incheon, South Korea, and emigrated to New Zealand at the age of 8. He became a New Zealand citizen on 2nd of September 2008 at Rotorua, where he attended Rotorua Boys High School. Moving right along, Philip Hone Coffin, or Phil Coffin, born this day, the 24th of July 1964, is a former New Zealand rugby union player. A prop, Coffin represented King Country and Wellington at provincial level and played 2 seasons for the Hurricanes in Super Rugby. He was a member of the New Zealand national side, the All Blacks, on the 1996 tour of South Africa, playing 3 matches but no internationals. He played for New Zealand Māori between 1991 and 1997. He is actually the brother of television host and netballer Jenny Clarkson, or Jenny May Clarkson, formerly Jenny Coffin. Finally, Jason Alex Goldsmith, born this day, the 24th of July 1969, is a former New Zealand rugby union player, a utility back. Goldsmith first represented Waikato aged 17, and later also played for Auckland and Bay of Plenty at a provincial level. He was a member of the New Zealand national side, the All Blacks, on their 1988 tour of Australia, playing in 8 matches but no internationals. He could play anywhere from 13 to 15 and had a huge future before a badly broken leg ended his international rugby career, retiring at the age of just 24. Now, Paul, if you're listening this morning, this particular player, Jason Goldsmith, was just absolutely unbelievable, next level. He was probably a player before his time and has even been compared with the great Christian Cullen. But unfortunately, when injury does come along, that pretty much curtails things in life. And that's our birthdays today. And if you're having a birthday today, happy birthday to you as well. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And yes, for those folks, that references fact there's a lot of things go on behind the scenes that you don't see when we're off screen. So yes, we've done some. We don't have there are no producers here or directors. It's all done by us, and so that's what seems right there. But you're right. Injury is a big thing for sportsmen, and I know that supporters or fans might be critical of players moving for more money. But when your career could end tomorrow, you do understand why they do that. It's not it might not be a job for us, but it is a job for them. Moving on, I guess. One thing we should have mentioned is on the football front is that tonight in the A-League, the Central Coast Mariners take on the Newcastle Jets, and the Wellington Phoenix will be playing on Saturday against Adelaide United. And one of those games that they need to win to climb above Melbourne City. So important game for the Phoenix this weekend. Moving on to rugby then, and in team announcements for the Crusaders and the Hurricanes, we learnt that David Havili is unfortunately out for the season with a broken finger, but also we learnt that Braden Ennell has got a foot injury which keeps him out of the game this Saturday. That sees Fetuli Paia coming in to the centres, so good luck to him. And then also over on the Hurricanes, this is Ben Lam's 50th and final cap for the Hurricanes. He is required by his new French team at Bordeaux, so he'll be flying out to France after this. Van Wyk also has played his last game for the Hurricanes, as he'll be joining Leicester Tigers after this game. Has not been included in the match day 23. Moving on to the Premiership over in England, the Gaelic Premiership, and that tournament will restart, or it's due to restart on Friday, the 14th of August. And they've announced that if clubs or players clubs do not comply with the COVID bubble rules, then they could actually have points deducted. Now, in just about every other league around the world, we've seen fines for players. But we've said that actually over in England, they may include points deductions, which makes it obviously very important. In the latest round of testing, there were just 2 results from the 900 tests across the 12 Premiership teams. This is down from 10 in the first week, 9 in the second week, and then now down to 2 this week. So clearly things heading in the right direction there for the Premiership. Also in rugby news, and Fiji has claimed it's on the verge of joining the Six Nations. The Six Nations came out and said that this is just for a competition this November. It's not joining the main competition, and also Fiji say, look, they've got great opportunities at the moment. Not only that, but also Super Rugby with New Zealand and Australia, both knocking on the doors, apparently. Now, this is also off the back of yesterday, the Pacific Players Welfare Association giving their views to the World Rugby's review, governance review, and in that they include an allegation that was in L'Équipe that they say needs to be investigated, which was a deal between Bernard Laporte and Fiji to play games between France and Fiji in return for, funnily enough, Fiji happened to back and vote for Bill Beaumont and Bernard Laporte for those key positions as the chairman and vice chairman of World Rugby. So, yes, you've got to say that the governance of rugby, and particularly in the Pacific Islands, needs to be does need review. Just been told I'm completely incorrect there from Twitter, but I say this is what has been put up there. I'm going to hand you back to Stephen, who's going to take us through our NRL update.
Thank you, Paul. In league news this morning, the Roosters close in on SBW. It seems like everybody's closing in on SBW. And we also have last night's opening clash in round 11 between the Parramatta Eels and the West Tigers, and we'll also look it up. It promised to be a fiery clash, yet no one could have predicted the derby between the Eels and the Tigers. It all started in the 15th minute when Ryan Matheson was knocked out by Tigers enforcer Russell Packer. Yes, he's been known for a big hit or two. All the talk during the week had been about Matheson and his well-publicised departure from West. So there you go. It shows you that there's no love lost between a lot of these players. Then in the 15th minute, Packer charged at Matheson, and the contact of the collision left Matheson stumbling. Eventually ruled out of the clash after failing a concussion test. It would only be the start, though, with Tigers' utility. Michael Chi Can taken to hospital after suffering a seizure on the field. Matters only got worse for Michael Maguire's men, with both Adam Doe concussion tests, so it was definitely physical, if nothing else. Fresh off a 48-0 win over Brisbane, the Tigers were desperate to prove their premiership credentials, and the signs were strong early as they skipped out to a 12-4 lead in the first half. That was before Parramatta ran in 2 quick tries to take an 18-12 lead into the break and shift momentum, and well and truly in their favour. Go to turn of pace to run away and score in the 21st minute. Then in the first game back from injury, Mitchell Moses would score a spectacular chip and chase try after out-enthusing the Eels early. West fell in a hole in the second half, and as Sean Lane pounced on a kick from Clint Gutherson to push Parramatta of the night soon after when David Nofaluma came in, leaving the Wheels winger unmarked. West desperately tried to force their way back. Opportunities they had to save from the late consolation from Tommy Talo. So that's it on last night's game. Again, it was the victory. The Roosters look to be inching closer to securing the services of Sunnyville Williams, with outside back Asu Kepi released last month, agreed to join Michael Maguire next season. However, the Roosters denied him the opportunity around the comeback of Williams has seen them reconsider. So obviously they're looking at some spaces there, and that's because his departure would free up what would be a huge coup for the Tricolors and the push deadline looming. Williams will need to make a decision soon, with the Roosters looking at paying him between $100K and $150K. although he would only see half that amount given the players agreed to a 50% pay cut the season recommended. Williams would also need to plan out the move as he would to require a 14-day quarantine on top, at least 2 weeks training and conditioning to acclimatise himself and ready to play. So we watched that story with interest. Interestingly enough, the Warriors have also put the feelers out for Sonny Bill Williams, but I think that's the risk you take, given that you may only get 4 to a half a dozen games out of him. And finally, in league tonight, our first game is at 8 p.m. New Zealand time tonight, and it's North Queensland taking on Manly at home at Queensland Country Bank Stadium and at Townsville. And our final game is from Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, where the Brisbane Broncos take on the Melbourne Storm, and that's from 9:55 p.m. this evening. Whew, that's all our league news this morning. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll be back tomorrow morning for the start of your weekend.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for that. Over in the Sal's NBL, we had two important games last night. The Franklin Bulls beats the Taranaki Mountaineers 92-65. They totally shut down the Airs last night, really dominating the rebounding and also shutting them down from on the perimeter, not allowing them to get those 3-pointers, which was, again, a big difference between these two sides. Leading, it's more a team effort, really, from the Franklin Bulls, with whilst Bartlett led the way with 18, but 4 players got into double figures. Timmins led the way on the rebounding side of things. And as you can probably imagine, with only 65 points, now really from the Franklin Bulls really got going. Jones got 17 points, but and Wakua 19, but he's got no support out of any of the other players. That was followed up with what could potentially be the grand final, which was the Otago Nuggets playing the Manawatu Jets. And the Nuggets won this one 97-85. So a 12-point victory there, relatively comfortable one for them. They were led the way by Ngatai with 37 points in that one. For the Jets, well, 28 points again for Vodanovic. You just can't keep him down. But yes, they again, the perimeter defense, which is important against Manchester Jets, who aren't the tallest side in the league, must have been good from the Otago Nuggets. That now means the Otago Nuggets are top of the table with 9 wins. The Jets second with 8, and the Taranaki Mountaineers in third with 8 points, with 8 wins as well. But we're coming up towards the end, and that was the Mountaineers' last game of the season, so they can't improve on their record. Everybody else still has 1 game left to play. The Franklin Bulls and the Auckland Huskies are both on 7 wins, so they can climb themselves up to get on the same number of wins as the Jets and the Airs if they win their last game. And I should say the game this there isn't a game on a Friday night, but there'll be 3 games on Saturday so Super Saturday to finish things off for the Sal's NBL. Over in the sailing, and American Magic are set to put their boat in the water today to do some system checks before returning to training next week. They have had, it'll be nearly 5 months since they've had a boat in the water. So yes, they've got a lot of catching up to do with their testing in the America's Cup, but good to see them back on the water. So have a look out for that. If you can have a view of the Auckland Harbour, you probably won't see much today, but hopefully over the next week you might do. Over in cycling and CCC Live, one of the professional women's cycling teams, has pulled out of 2 races in Spain because the health risks from coronavirus are simply too great. Here's what they've said. As cycling it tries to return in Europe, but they can see they're having some problems with that, with obviously second wave in some places. So all the best, and let's hope that the cyclists that do turn up into that event do stay healthy. Over in the ANZ Premiership, the Pulse will be taking on the Magic this evening at the Auckland Netball Centre from 7 p.m. So do get on down there. This is the final round where all of the games will be in Auckland before the teams start playing in home matches at home. So if you want to get down and see your teams, do so. The Pulse obviously top the table at the moment. The Magic are struggling down in 5th with 1 win and 2 draws. So good luck to the Magic this evening. Over in snow sports, and they've announced the Mount Hutt Jib Jump will be a new format that's happening next weekend on the 1st and 2nd of August. So they'll have the Rail Jam, which will start off in the morning. Before they head off and to hit the jump in the as well for the best tricks later on. So go and if you want to attend that one, head on down there. Not this weekend, but next weekend to Mount Hutt. You have now started the day the best way, up to speed with all the important sports news. Don't forget you can listen to it on the move. Just download the podcast, search for New Zealand Sports Radio on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Acast, or your favourite pod catching app.